It's an industry that I generally love. I have a passion for. I eat, sleep, I live for fitness.
No, you need to be obsessed. You need to wake up, think about it. You need to go to bed, think about your clients, think about your progress, think about what you can do better.
Genuinely, just be patient and take your time. That is you've got to take it all in the right steps. You've got to nail what you do in person before you go online.
I don't like to talk about fear. The fears is usually something that makes your worries real.
Welcome to the CoachingIgnited podcast. My name is Povey. If you're a new listener, the show is released every Sunday on all the major platforms, including Spotify and iTunes. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a show. Every week we invite a new guest from the fitness industry or coaching space to share their personal journey in business. We will deep dive into actionable ideas, strategies and systems that you can apply in your life and business too. You can also access free weekly content in our private Facebook group by searching CoachingIgnited. And if you're a face-to-face personal trainer with room to take on additional clients, head over to CoachingIgnited.com, where you can apply for our 30-day Client Accelerator program and find out more about our business, sales and marketing training platform. Now let's get into this week's episode. Enjoy the show. So this week's podcast is going to be a little bit different. This week it's just going to be me. And I think it's time for me to share my story and tell you more about how this all got started, how we created the podcast, how we created the Coaching Ignited program. And I think it's more important than ever, particularly in 2019 and beyond, for everyone in business to be much more open about their story and where they came from and where they are now, because I think it's really important to allow people to be able to see the true you, so they can either resonate or you repel them. And I don't want to be vanilla. I don't want to be one or the other. I want to attract people that want to work with us and want to help. And equally, I know there's going to be people out there that's going to hear this story that I'm about to share and it's going to repel them. And I'm okay with that. And I'm going to reveal some things that I've not revealed before. So I'm going to be very, very open and honest, very vulnerable, a little bit nervous, but I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to take you through the journey that I went through. And also at the end, I'm going to maintain what this podcast is all about. I'm going to give you some values and share my philosophy around sales and all the things that I've kind of come to learn about sales as well, which is going to be my approach, and maybe that helps you as well with your approach when it comes to business and signing clients. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been listening so far. I think we've done over 30 podcasts now, which is awesome. And we've had some amazing guests on the show. I want to thank them as well. I'm so grateful for people that take their time to come on this show and just share some really valuable things with people that are helping make an impact, helping people with their businesses. I'm super grateful for that. So I want to take it back to my early days when I was younger, because my parents moved to Wales when I was really young. We're an English family, and I remember starting in high school, and I used to get picked on a lot because I was English, and the Welsh and the English, sometimes they butt heads, and the whole rugby thing, and the Welsh are really patriotic and the English are really patriotic. So I used to get singled out, and they used to pick on me because I was English. And I found this group of other English lads who were kind of like the outcasts of the school, and I sort of gravitated towards them, and they accepted me in, and it was a really kind of tight-knit group. Like anything that one person did, the other person did, the language, the swearing, the behavior, everything. And I remember one day we were in the football field, and I was backed up against like a brick wall, like way out of sight of all the teachers. No one could see. It was just us, a group of lads, and we were stood in a circle. And one of the older lads in the group, he passed me over a joint of weed. And I looked at it, and I hadn't smoked at this point, and I think I was about 13 or 14 at the time. And he passed me over this joint of weed, and I didn't want to be singled out again, and I didn't want to kind of be kicked out of the group or picked on. So I just gave in to the peer pressure. Everyone was watching me. I took it. I started smoking it, and I got high before class. Anyway, that continued, and I carried on doing it for a number of years with this group, and it kind of became kind of like a common thing to do within that group, just smoke weed and get high. And a lot of this was done in school as well, so it really affected my grades and how I performed, and I just had no motivation, and I did so bad at school. And like I said, it continued, but then it progressed into harder drugs, so recreational drugs, and I'd go out partying, and I'd go to clubs, and I'd go to raves and all these things. And I think I got to about 18 years old, and I remember coming home one night. I walked in, I think it was, well, I say one night, it was actually a morning, because I'd been out all night, and then it was like 5, 6, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning. I walked in, and I was just about to go up the stairs, and my mum came around the corner and caught me walking up the stairs. And I know she must have known at this point what I was doing, but she loved me so much, so unconditionally, that she never ever said a thing. She just left me to my own devices, and maybe she knew deep down that I would grow out of it, but she left me to do what I was doing as a kid, as a youngster. But that day she caught me at the bottom of the stairs. She looked me in the eye, and I knew for a fact that she knew what I was doing. And I walked upstairs. I felt so ashamed inside. I felt like I was letting my family down, because my other brothers and sisters were really respected members of society, contributing, doing great things, and I just felt like a bit of a letdown. And I knew at that point that something had to change. I knew I had to do something different, and the environment I was in and those people that I was around was just not helping me in any way. And I tried college as well. I dropped out of college. I didn't get any A levels. I got really bad GCSEs, so I didn't really have much going for me at this point. So I was like, I just need to get out of here. I need to get out of this environment. I need to go to some other place, far away. So I packed my things. I found this opportunity out in the Middle East, of all places. And I said to my mum, I'm leaving. I'm going. I'm getting out of here. She was completely shocked, but she took me to the airport, and she was crying. I remember she was crying when I was leaving, because I was only 18 at the time, and I boarded this plane, and I got on a plane to Dubai, and I landed in Dubai, and I basically spent 6 months out there working for a restaurants type bar, doing DJ work, playing music, kind of things that I was passionate about at the time. And throughout those kind of 3 to 6 months that I was out there, and obviously not being able to do any drugs, I sobered up and got a bit more clarity, but also had that breathing space away from all those people in my life that were not really helping me achieve anything. And I was seeing all the kind of glitz and glamour of Dubai. I was seeing all these big buildings going up. I remember the Burj Dubai being built. It was just about to be topped out when I was there. I think it's called the Burj Khalifa now, or the other way around, but that was just about to be finished. And I was seeing all these different buildings going up, and it really inspired me. So I started knocking on doors. I started knocking on agency doors, these real estate companies. I was like, I'd like to come and work for you. Can I have an interview? And I was going door to door to door, and they were all just refusing me. They were saying, you don't have enough qualifications, you've not got enough experience, and you don't have a degree. And I was like, okay. And I kept hearing it over and over again. They keep talking about degrees. So I was like, maybe I need to get a degree. And this is something that I never thought I was going to do, get a degree, because my mum gave me my degree fund, and I spent it on a Citroen Saxo, all blacked out, alloys. That's what I spent my degree fund on, because I said, I'm never going to university. Anyway, I got the idea of going to university. I applied for some universities, and I didn't really know much about the system, and they said, no, you've not got the qualifications, you've not got A levels, you've not got a BTEC, there's no way you can come in at your level, you need to do something else. So I had to come back home and sign up to an open university course to get some minimum credits to then get me an interview at the university, but then it was still not a degree, it was still kind of like a foundation degree. And I begged them to let me onto the foundation degree. I said, I'm going to work extremely hard. I'll do whatever I need to do to get onto a degree. So they agreed, and they said, you need to get these minimum results just to get onto the degree. So I did that. I worked for 2 years. I got the results I needed to, and then I started the real degree. Then I had to spend the next 3 years just working my socks off. And the reason why I just wanted to work as hard as I could, because at this stage I wanted to prove that I could do something worthwhile, and I wanted to prove it to myself. So I worked really, really hard for about 3 years, and then graduation day came, and I remember it vividly. I walked down to collect my certificate, and I walked onto the stage, and I got handed an award. And that moment, it all changed for me, because I was stood in front of the whole university, and I got an award for the highest marks out of my whole course. And I think it was all the courses that provided that course as well. So it was a real estate and investment course. I think there was 3 other universities, Nottingham, Trent, and one other. And I achieved the highest marks, and they gave me this award. And I was like, wow. And the big thing for me right then was I knew I could achieve more. I knew at that moment that if I could have done that and come from such a shit background, that I could achieve way more with my life. And I knew at that point as well that my mum would actually be proud of me. And I knew that finally I'd done something to make her proud, and that meant the world to me. And it was a really emotional moment. And I remember from there on, I felt a bit better about myself. I felt like I can do more. And I did lots of things that I was proud of after that. I went to live in Manchester, where I went to work for this company, which I always wanted to be in investment property. I don't know, I just liked the idea. I found this company, Night Knocks, incredible company, really renowned in Manchester. And I remember my first month at the company, I started there, and the whole role was to be a consultant but sell these off-plan investments. But I was terrible at sales. I was so bad. It was just, I would get on the phones and I would just talk, pitch. And I'd wonder why no one was buying from me. I'd wonder why I'm not getting any sales. And this was a high pressure environment, because everything was tracked, the call times, the emails, all the clicks that you did, everything was monitored down to the detail. So there was nowhere to hide. If you're underperforming, the pressure starts to mount really, really quickly. And I remember feeling way out of my depth. And this sales trainer came in one day, super successful sales trainer. I didn't always agree with his approach, but because he was quite aggressive and the way he did things were quite brutal, but he got me into a room to do kind of like a one-on-one. And I remember him just like pulling me apart, just ripping me apart emotionally, and just drilling down into kind of like my deepest thought processes, and then rebuilding my mindset around sales and what I actually needed to do in order to convert more people into customers and clients of the company. So I walked out that room, and yeah, my life didn't change there. And then when it came to selling, but that was kind of the catalyst, and I knew that I could figure it out, just like I figured out the university thing. I knew if I worked hard and I put the graft in, I could get better at sales. And there were some amazing salespeople in this company doing incredible things, and there was tons of money on the table. So I had a real incentive to push myself. I worked with this sales trainer. I invested in books. I invested in courses. I listened to YouTube videos. I did whatever I could to really just excel my progress. And I worked really long hours. And after a couple of months, I started picking things up, and I started signing clients, and off I went, and I just improved and just worked hard. I wasn't particularly talented or anything. I just worked hard at what I did, and I just wanted it really, really bad. So I spent about 18 months with this company and made a lot of money and blew a lot of money on dumb shit as well, like going out and bottles and tables and clothes and cars and all that stuff. And then after that, I remember coming back from a trip to Vegas that the MD paid for, and kind of had the realization that I wanted to do more. And I saw his position as the MD and what he was doing, and I was like, I'd love to be in that position versus just working for someone. But I wasn't quite ready at that point. So me and my business partner came across this opportunity to set up a company for this American operation, an e-com company. So we set that up. I left Knight Knox, he left Knight Frank, another property firm. We set this company up, and we spent 2 years building that up to 7 staff, selling online products, e-commerce based products. And then after doing that, we kind of got the confidence. We got the confidence and the skills and the business acumen to go, actually, I think we're ready to do this on our own now. And that was when we made the leap to set up our agency, Savecta Media. A lot of you won't know about this, but we've got a social media agency where we do sort of Instagram and Twitter and Facebook based marketing for various different companies. And we're partnered up with a few people. And we also run the ads through that company for CoachingIgnited. So we set that up, and that's still running. And from there, we kind of came full circle back to fitness and coaching, because me and my business partner are very big advocates of coaching and fitness and health and lifestyle. And fitness was a big factor in all this for me, because when I was about 18, I remember starting at the gym back in Wales, and that really kind of helped me with a new focus and really just helped with my confidence, and it gave me some goals to work on, and that stayed with me throughout the whole kind of 10 years. And throughout uni, I would even train like twice a day. So I've always loved fitness, and as soon as I moved to Manchester, I got a personal trainer, I got a coach, and he like really helped me with my health and nutrition. I was like, this is so powerful. And I knew the benefits of health and fitness, and I knew more people could benefit from it too. But not only that, I knew more people could benefit from having a personal trainer or a coach. So I was speaking to my trainer one day. His name's Serge. He's at the gym group in Manchester. Great coach, by the way. And I was talking to him about business, because that's what I'm super passionate about. We were talking about business. I was talking about like his business particularly, and how he built his client base up and how things were going. And he's a really good trainer. He's always got like a full calendar, and I could see why he was successful. And I was like, okay, so you're doing really, really well here. What about the other trainers? How are they getting on? And then he kind of revealed that a lot of trainers in that gym were struggling to get clients. And I was like, okay, what do you think the reason is? Why do you think they're struggling so much to get clients? And he was like, well, they're not great at selling themselves or marketing themselves. And I was like, okay. And that kind of pricked my ears up. And I was like, I want to explore this more. I want to kind of deep dive into other people's businesses effectively, because I'm nosy and I'm interested in business, and see what the real problem was. So I started to speak to other trainers in the gym. Quite quickly I found that a lot of them were struggling to get clients. A lot of people were struggling to market and sell themselves. So anyway, I gave a couple of people some tips, and about a week later, one of them came back to me and said, I've used what you told me, and I've actually got a new client. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then a kind of light bulb moment happened for me. I was like, if I can spend 10, 15 minutes with someone and share a couple of sales strategies and they get a client, imagine if I really sat down and put something comprehensive together and gave it to them. I wonder what that would do. And that was kind of like the thought process behind the whole CoachingIgnited company. But I didn't take any further at that point, because like anything, I wanted to do the correct research to make sure there was a market demand. I thought at this point, maybe it's just this gym. Maybe they just struggle in this gym. Maybe it's just these PTs. So then what I did was I basically emailed, text, voice noted, DM'd probably about 50 to 100 trainers to get some responses. And I basically asked them, what are your key challenges in your business? What are your pain points? What do you struggle with the most? And I probably got about 20 to 30 emails back, and they were saying the same thing over and over again. I'm struggling to get clients. I'm struggling to market myself. I'm struggling with sales. I'm struggling to pay the bills because I've not got enough income coming through. And I was like, wow, there's a big portion of people here that are really struggling to get clients. Maybe I can help. Maybe I can fix this. And so that's kind of where the first draft of our program was put together. I basically built out it on 4 pieces of paper. So four A4 pieces of paper with all these sales and marketing strategies that I'd come up with that I pretty much didn't know were going to work or whether they weren't going to work. I just made it up, but these were all the things that I'd learned and had worked in other parts of business. So I thought, well, if it works in this type of business, then surely it can work here because it's the same thing. It's just sales. So I got the first client, Matt Clayson. He was actually from Pure Gym in Manchester, Urban Exchange. And I remember meeting him, and we did it face to face in a wine bar in Manchester. And I laid out these kind of 4 pieces of paper, and we broke it down into 4 individual sessions on a weekly basis. And I remember giving him the first kind of bit of strategy and information in our first session. And he was actually quite stunned about the level that I went to. And this was, remember, just the first draft. But my thought process was, is this going to get him results? Is this going to work? So he went away after the first session, and I said, keep me updated on the progress between now and the next session. Within probably about 5 or 6 hours, he texted me and said, I've just generated a lead, just generated some business already. Someone's interested. I said to him, okay, great. The next thing you need to do is you need to try and convert them, right? So we're going to do that in the next session, but do your best. Because I didn't really have that support system and know what steps to take them through and in what order just yet. So I was kind of making this up as I go along. Anyway, between that session and the next session, he'd got a new client. And I was like, holy shit, this stuff is working for him. And all we need to do now is we need to replicate, duplicate, increase, and just crank it up. So then we just started pushing harder, going through more systems, more strategies. And within the space of 30 days, Matt managed to get 11 new clients for his personal training business. And he started at 0. He had no sales experience. He had no clients. He didn't know what he was doing. And he managed to get 11 new paying clients for his business. So I was like, we are onto something here. And then it just snowballed. We started reaching out to our whole network. We started speaking to people in Manchester and signing these clients. And back then we didn't really charge much for this service because we were just starting out and we were just trying to give as much value as possible. And then it just progressed from there. We kind of fine-tuned the program. We built it into like a really nice slick PowerPoint. Then from there, we built it into an online training platform with pre-recorded videos, with a whole structure and login process and a Facebook group, and then all these resources and downloads and scripts. And then it just turned into a fully blown program to what we have today, which is the 30-day client accelerator. And that's really how it all began. And we made the conscious decision as well to set up this podcast late last year to kind of talk about what we do and provide some systems, provide some strategies, and really just provide as much value as possible to help people in the industry. Because at the end of the day, we're doing this to help people. Yes, it's a business, and yes, we need to make money, but there's nothing more fulfilling than taking someone's business, which is struggling, and turning it into a successful one, and seeing the transformation not only in the business but the personal trainer's life from all the new things that they're able to do, and their confidence and their happiness and their options. And yeah, it's just an amazing business to run. And that's how it all came about, guys. That's the full story from me growing up to creating this company. So I hope you can kind of relate to some of that earlier stuff. Like I said, some people will be put off by the fact of what I used to do in my early days, and I'm not proud of it, but that's the truth. And I just wanted to put it out there. So I want to now dive into a bit more about my philosophy towards sales and what we show our personal trainers, because I think it's important to give you some value here as well, some actionable kind of ideas and approaches that you can use in your business too, because that's what we're all about. We're all about helping and showing people better ways of doing things to get better results. So when it comes to sales, a lot of people are kind of put off by the idea. They don't want to be salesy. They don't want to be pushy. These are all the phrases that I hear all the time from personal trainers. And what I say to all the personal trainers that we work with, and I'll say this to you, is sales is not about pitching and telling people how good you are and just talking. Yes, that's part of the process because you need to explain what you do. But the biggest thing about sales is asking the right questions and being genuinely interested in whoever's sat in front of you. You need to take the time to really understand what is going on, because if you can't understand what's going on with that person in front of you, how the hell are you going to be able to present a product or service that's going to fix that problem? That's what sales is about. It's about creating a solution for someone. And if you're not the right fit, you need to be honest about that. But the only way you're going to figure out whether you're a good fit or not is asking the right questions. So when someone sits down with you, you need to go as deep as you can into their pain points or their desires. And I like to think of this as kind of different levels. And the deeper you go down and the more levels of questioning you can go to, the easier it is to gain commitment, and the easier it is to position your product in a compelling way to speak to the things that they perceive as valuable, because those are their deepest pains or desires. And that's what we need to do as coaches. We need to be great listeners, and we need to ask really deep questions. And the analogy that I always use, and this will be kind of a good way to explain it for you, is you need to approach it just like a doctor would. Because think about a doctor. When you go to a doctor, you will tell them your symptoms, you'll describe what's wrong with you, but they don't just go, okay, this is what you need, here is the solution. They're a specialist, they're an expert, so they're going to not take your word for it. They're going to start diagnosing. They're going to probe. They're going to put things in your ears. They're going to put things in your mouth. They're going to ask you about the symptoms so they can make a correct prescription of the problem. There's no way they can do that if they don't do the correct diagnosis. And once they've done the diagnosis and they've got the correct prescription, that's what they do. They prescribe you the medication, the solution. And you take that prescription, you go to the chemist, and you pay for it. Or you collect it for free, depending on what your setup is with the NHS. But that's how it works, right? They prescribe it. You go to the counter, the chemist. You don't ask your mum. You don't check with your partner. You don't decide if you've got the money or not. It's your health. You pay for it and you take those pills. And that's how you want to be approaching your personal training. You want to be diagnosing the pain or the desire. And then you want to be positioning yourself by prescribing the medication, the solution, which is the personal training, the program, whatever it is that you're offering. And that's the best way to approach it. And if you always go into the situation acting like a doctor, you're going to do less pitching and selling and coming across as a salesperson, and more of an expert and a consultant. And people trust experts and consultants because they take the time to understand people and what's really going on. So you need to be asking people, well, I'm going to give you some examples of some questions here. When you say to people, well, what's the goal? The first thing they're going to probably say is, well, I want to lose weight. Let's use that for example. And that's kind of just like level one. That's like the top level of the problem. But we can go deeper with this. So if they say, I want to lose weight, well, you can get some metrics here. You can get some specifics. You can ask them, well, how much weight do you actually want to lose? Then they'll go, I want to lose 10 kg, for instance. And then we go deeper. We go, okay, that's great. So you want to lose some weight. You want to lose 10 kilograms. What's really driving that? Why do you want to lose this weight? And now we're going deeper into the problem. And this is where they'll respond with something like, well, I don't really feel attractive at the moment, right? And you could stop here, and that's deeper than maybe how you've been going before, but you can take it even further. And there's a number of things you can do right now. You could say, I hear that a lot, and I appreciate that this is quite personal, but can I ask you what makes you feel unattractive at the moment, right? And these are deep, deep questions, and they're very personal, but what's going to happen is they're going to start investing emotional energy into the situation. And if you say it correctly and you ask the questions delicately, they're going to open up to you and you're going to build a better connection. And what they could potentially say at this point is, well, I don't feel attractive right now because I feel like my partner doesn't find me attractive because they're not giving me the love and affection that they used to give me, right? So now we get into really, really deep levels of the problem. And this is really what they're trying to fix. It's not about fat loss. It's more about love and affection, these deep desires or pain points. And the better you understand the true problem and the true things that are going on in these people's minds, the more commitment you're going to get and the more you're going to be able to charge for your services as well. Because if you can create a perfect solution, people will pay and commit to that. So that's really my philosophy and approach towards sales. It's not about deception, pressure tactics, or smoke and mirrors. It's about being genuinely interested in the other person, asking the right questions, and then positioning your services in a way that speaks to the answers that they gave you to create the perfect solution, to help them make a decision to come on board with you, because that's where you're going to get the real change. That's where they're going to have the big impact on their health, their fitness, and nutrition. It's when they start working with you. So it's not about us, it's about them. And we can make this mistake, it's about us and how we do things, but it's about the person that's sat in front of you, and you need to prioritize them in this situation. And if you don't want to do sales or you avoid sales, then actually you're letting people down. These people need your help. And it's up to you as a coach to get them on board and start changing their life. It's up to you to persuade them that you're the best solution to their problem. And if they don't come on board with you, guess what? They're going to stay exactly where they are. They're not going to get fitter, they're not going to get happier, and they're not going to get healthier. So it's your duty as a coach to get them on board. And that's what sales is all about. It's about helping people make a change. And that's my philosophy, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Like I said, this is not something I've ever done before. And I'd love to get your honest feedback, whether you loved it, whether you hated it, whether you want to critique me. Whatever messages you want to send, feel free. You can reach me on Instagram. That's probably the best place, at Alex C. Povey on Instagram, or you can hit me up on Facebook. I'd love to get your honest feedback. And if you did like this episode, then maybe I can do another one again in the future. But I'm going to wrap things up now. I think I've talked enough, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy the show, I would be really grateful if you could leave a short review or post a comment on what you'd like to hear in future episodes. And if you're a face-to-face personal trainer with room to take on additional clients, head over to CoachingIgnited.com, where you can apply for our 30-day Client Accelerator program and find out more about our business, sales, and marketing training platform. See you on the next episode.